All right, all my Detroit Piston fans and all my Detroit fans, all my Motor City Sports Talk fans, make sure you guys go check out Piston Mike. We got him over 100 followers, so make sure you check him out. Everything Pistons, man. He gonna hold it down and do his thing, just strictly on the Pistons thing. You know, I got the Lions and Pistons, but man, we always trying to help people get their channel up. Let's get them to 200 next, 300 next, 400 next, 500 next, and let's get them all the way to a rack so you can start making that bag. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you go over to Piston Mike as you see it on the screen. Let's get them to 200, then 300, then 400, then 500, and the whole shebang. Peace. All right, former Detroit Pistons Rasheed Wallace trashes former Pistons coach Flip Saunders. I think Flip Saunders lasted 3 seasons with the Pistons. He said he didn't like his style. Some players in the locker room was cool with his style, but you know, he didn't like the F-bombs and all the cussing. And you know, basically he didn't want to speak on the dead. You know, Flip Saunders passed away from Hodgkin's lymphoma, I think it was. He didn't want to speak on the dead, but they kind of got deep into it. There's another guy that played for Phoenix Suns and said that, you know, Terry Porter came from the Flip Saunders tree and said his playbook was trash. But let's talk about it. Check out Detroit Pistons Talk playlist, share the videos. Don't forget, we on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the social media links in the description. Drop down box if you have a business question, inquiry, sponsorship, video question, advertising business channel. Hit me up there. Twitter's the fastest way, then Facebook, then Instagram. But yeah, man, he said, you know, basically, Dan Labertar got him to open up and said, you know, he wasn't a fan. But remember, the Pistons they won 64 games that year. Won 64 and 18, I believe it was. You know, they had the best record in the league. And remember, after the 05 season, they let go of Larry Brown for whatever reason it was. And basically, he was insinuating that was a mistake and that they should have kept. They should have kept Larry Brown. And he said Flip Saunders cussing and basically, you know, his playbook, he wasn't a good coach and he didn't like it, and basically said that he wasted his prime at 32 years old. And wasted that team prime. Now they lost to the Miami Heat 4-2, and that was kind of like, I think it might have been one of Ben Wallace's last years left with the franchise. And you know, ultimately, you know, it's Larry Brown. It was a little bit different. A lot of people on the outside thought Rick Carlisle could win a championship with this team, but I think Larry Brown learned from his mistakes in the past, and they love Larry Brown for one. That probably went into it. You know, Flip Saunders did some things different. They love Larry Brown for one. For two, Larry Brown kept him on the pitch count. So Larry Brown made sure they got their rest. He knew how to preserve the veterans and all of that, man. So, you know, Larry Brown just did a lot of things the right way. Remember, he helped Chauncey, you know, kind of get out, you know, Chauncey take another step. And, you know, Rick Carlisle was, not Rick Carlisle, but Flip Saunders, man, you know, Flip Saunders was good, but, you know, he left Memento Core, man. A lot of those guys was a couple years older. You know, you get McDice, you get a couple guys. I forgot Dale Davis was on the team. It was just to the point that a lot of the mistakes that Joe Dumars made, started to hurt that team. They couldn't get a bucket. Now you're dealing with a guy, Dwayne Wade, should have took Shaquille O'Neal the last few years of his prime. Now they dominant. Now you didn't go get a guy like Wade, like Melo, that can get his own baskets. Had they got Melo, this team probably would have won 05. They should have won 05 if Rasheed didn't leave. Ginobili. They should have won. They probably won 05, 06. They probably won a few more, and solidified themselves as one of the great teams in great organizations in the NBA. But passing up on Carmelo Anthony, passing up on Wade, all right, firing Larry Brown, you know what I'm saying? Not playing Ben Wallace, all that shit played. When Ben left, even before Ben left, when they lost in 05, it was over with. I think he blamed him for the loss versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, and ultimately not having Ben Wallace was that fault. That team was getting older, man, and they didn't innovate. You know, they didn't innovate. Getting developing players, playing them. They didn't play the Tayshons. They didn't play the Darkos. They didn't draft the right guys. Ultimately, they did shit in a prehistoric way, and I pretty much blame Joe Dumars for that. You know, this wasn't fucking 1970, 1985. You had, you know, Daryl Dawkins, Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant. A lot of those dudes came in and made impacts. Tayshaun Prince played 4 fucking years in Kentucky for one of the greatest coaches in college basketball history, Tubby Smith. You know what I'm saying? Why the hell should he have to sit on the bench after 4 seasons? You pull him out the deep freezer when Tracy McGrady got you down 2-1, 3-1, whatever it was. Then you want to put Tayshaun. They just had a prehistoric mindset. And then Joe Dumars tried to recreate again with Ben Gordon, Charlie Villanueva, and Joe Smith. Ben Gordon had something to say about Detroit, how it wouldn't fit. It was just a mess. I don't think it was just Flip Saunders' fault. I legitimately think it was a huge part a huge issue with Joe Dumars. Think if they got Carmelo away, bro. Think about it. Probably don't like this. You probably can move Rip to the 3, or you can trade Rip, put Wade in there. You know what I'm saying? It was just, to me, Joe Dumars was part of the bigger problem. What if this motherfucker just drafted halfway right? No excuse. What if he just, I'm not saying I love Joe Dumars. What if he would have drafted halfway right? Do you understand, had he not took the Rodney Weiss and took better players over his tenure, that this team could have been the Spurs even better? It just wasn't a Melo Darko situation. It wasn't that situation. It was a situation in the previous years, Mateen Cleaves and all these other picks he could not draft. Joe Dumars could not draft, and that was the greater problem. Not Flip Saunders, not Rick Carlisle, not Larry Brown. The bigger problem was Joe Dumars. And she probably don't want to say that. It just wasn't a Flip thing. But if Flip cussing, you go from a guy like Larry Brown, who's fiery, probably a little bit more punctual, probably had to prove a system that worked. That probably was the issue. Flip Saunders cussing, and it didn't work. And they went on to talk about how the playbook that Terry Porter brought from Flip Saunders' coaching staff, they scrapped it by Christmas because it wasn't no good. Well, Flip Saunders had a long history that his offense didn't work. But I think the greater problem was the talent on that team. It never evolved. Joe Dumars could not. It was not a great general manager. He struggled. Lightning struck. Me at the time would have took Carmelo over. He just was an idiot, bro. He just couldn't draft. And this is why Joe Dumars never got a second. Even in Sacramento, he never got a second chance. He wanted to be mad at Tom Gores, but nigga, you sucked at drafting the team. And drafting the team is the biggest part of being the puppet puller or being a GM. That's the biggest part. Talent. And he passed up on so much talent that his team hurt because of that. Even long before the Pistons became the Pistons, became the Golden Work Pistons, they had mistakes in the draft. And guys never touched the court. And when the Pistons are good, they draft well. Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, John Sally, Dennis Rodman. And they make those trades. Traded Kelly Tribuca and all that stuff. So it's just to the point that he couldn't draft. I could draft better than Joe Dumars. I can draft, and Stan Van Gundy set us back another few years. Donovan Mitchell said he didn't miss a shot. They took Luke Kennard. Look at Luke Kennard last night. Old as hell. But I think Sheed had a point. But I think the greater issue was Joe Dumars. But hey, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Don't forget me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can reach out if you have a business question, query, sponsor, video request. All my social media subscription, Twitter's the fastest way than Facebook and Instagram. All links there. Want to make a donation? Cash App, CJ Good313. That's in the description. PayPal link there as well too. Best way to donate. Share the video. But let me know what you think in the comment section. One time for the one time Mercy Sports Talk. Peace.